I got out like a few months after I started doing stand-up.
Drew Carey has spent nearly 2 decades smiling on The Price is Right. Every day, millions of viewers see the jokes, the energy, and the easy charm. But in early 2025, Drew finally opened up about the darker truth behind that smile. Before the fame, before the laughter, before Hollywood ever knew his name, Drew Carey had already survived pain most people never see. There were 2 suicide attempts, childhood trauma, crushing depression, and a family secret he carried silently for years. And when he finally spoke openly about it, fans realized the man they thought they knew had been fighting private battles his entire life. Born on May 23, 1958, in Cleveland, Ohio, Drew grew up in a working-class family. But when he was just 8 years old, tragedy changed everything. His father, Lewis Carey, died from a brain tumor, leaving Drew's mother to raise 3 boys alone. Money became tight, stress filled the house, and Drew later admitted that depression entered his life very early. Years later, he revealed another painful truth in his memoir Dirty Jokes and Beer, Stories of the Unrefined. Drew confessed that he had been sexually abused by a family member as a child. For decades, he stayed silent about it. And by the time he was 18, the emotional weight became unbearable. He attempted suicide for the first time. He later admitted he felt angry watching other people seem happy while he felt completely empty inside. Then in his early 20s, he tried again. Long before he became America's favorite game show host, Drew Carey was a young man convinced the world might not miss him if he disappeared. But somehow, his life took a different turn. In 1980, at 22 years old, Drew joined the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. He served until 1986 and reached the rank of sergeant while working as a field radio operator. The Marines gave him something his life had been missing: structure, discipline, and purpose. For the first time, he had stability instead of chaos. Around the same time, another unexpected door opened. Drew started writing jokes for Cleveland radio personality David Lawrence, who encouraged him to pursue comedy seriously. That encouragement mattered. Drew studied joke books, sharpened his material, and slowly built confidence on stage. He won an open mic contest in Cleveland and eventually became Master of Ceremonies at the Cleveland Comedy Club in 1986. His rise was not overnight. It was years of grinding through small clubs and struggling to get noticed. Then everything changed in 1991. That year, Drew appeared on HBO's Young Comedians special before landing a spot on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. His performance impressed Carson so much that Drew was invited to sit on the couch afterward, a legendary sign of approval in comedy. Overnight, Hollywood started paying attention. Soon after, he appeared on Late Night with David Letterman, and his career exploded. In 1995, he co-created The Drew Carey Show, a sitcom inspired by his own life in Cleveland. The series became a massive success, running for 9 seasons and more than 230 episodes. What made Drew different was that he was not just the funny guy on camera. He helped shape the writing, produced projects behind the scenes, and built his own comedic identity. By the late 1990s, he had become one of ABC's biggest stars. But Drew was doing more than one thing at once. While starring in his sitcom, he also became the face of improv comedy for a generation through Whose Line Is It Anyway? The show became a huge hit and cemented him as one of television's most recognizable personalities. From the outside, it looked like Drew Carey had completely escaped the darkness of his early life. But privately, the struggles never fully disappeared. In 2010, Drew faced another major crisis when doctors diagnosed him with type 2 diabetes. The warning was serious. If he did not change his lifestyle, his future could be cut short. That became a turning point. Drew completely transformed his routine, cutting carbs, committing to intense cardio workouts, and losing around 80 pounds. He later revealed he no longer needed diabetes medication. But the physical transformation was only part of the story. Drew also began rebuilding himself mentally. He immersed himself in self-help books and personal development teachings, trying to climb out of the emotional hole he had carried since childhood. Even then, heartbreak continued to follow him. In 2007, Drew became engaged to Nicole Yarash, and the relationship lasted nearly 5 years before ending in 2012. Although the romance ended quietly, Drew remained close to her son Connor, making the breakup feel more like the loss of a family than just the end of a relationship. Then came the relationship that would change his life forever. In 2017, Drew met therapist and author Amy Harwick at a Hollywood party. Their connection was immediate. Drew later admitted he fell deeply in love almost instantly. By early 2018, they were engaged, and Amy even appeared on The Price is Right during a Valentine's Day episode where Drew proudly introduced her as his fiancée. To the public, it looked like Drew had finally found happiness. But later that same year, the engagement ended. Officially, the split was described as friendly, but Drew later admitted he never truly stopped loving her. Then came the moment that would haunt him forever. On February 13, 2020, Amy texted Drew saying she had been thinking about forgiveness and wanted to meet and talk. Drew replied warmly and ended the message with 3 words, "I love you." It became their final conversation. Just 2 days later, on Valentine's Day weekend, Amy Harwick was attacked inside her Hollywood Hills home. Investigators later discovered signs of a violent struggle before she was thrown from a 3rd-floor balcony. She died shortly afterward at the hospital. She was only 38 years old. Police quickly arrested Gareth Pursehouse, an ex-boyfriend Amy had previously accused of abuse. Prosecutors later argued that he broke into her home, attacked her, and murdered her in a planned act of violence. For Drew Carey, the tragedy shattered him. In one of the most emotional public statements of his life, he described Amy as a woman he loved deeply and called their relationship the kind of love people are lucky to have once in a lifetime. Production on The Price is Right paused temporarily as Drew struggled to process the loss. What made it even more heartbreaking was the timing. Just days before her death, the two had been discussing forgiveness and reconnecting. In another version of life, maybe their story would have healed. Instead, it ended in tragedy. The legal case lasted years. In September 2023, Gareth Pursehouse was found guilty of first-degree murder, and in December 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The conviction brought closure, but not peace. Drew later admitted Amy's memory never left him. Then in early 2025, Drew began speaking more openly than ever before about the darkness he had carried through his life. He revealed the suicide attempts publicly, calling them cries for help from a younger version of himself who could not see a future. Fans were stunned. The cheerful host who gave away prizes and made people laugh every day had once come dangerously close to disappearing forever. But Drew also explained something important. Comedy was never just entertainment for him. It was survival. Humor became the tool he used to fight depression and process pain. Making people laugh was not only his career, it was the thing that helped keep him alive. And maybe that is why his story hits so hard. The public saw the smiling host of The Price is Right. They saw the comedian, the sitcom star, the improv host, the successful entertainer. But behind that image was a man shaped by grief, trauma, heartbreak, health scares, and years of hidden emotional battles. Still, through every setback, Drew Carey kept rebuilding himself. Through discipline. Through work. Through self-improvement. Through laughter. That is what makes his journey unforgettable. It is not just the story of a celebrity. It is the story of someone who kept surviving even when life kept knocking him down. And after decades of silence, Drew finally let the world see the truth behind the smile. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Prestige Buzz, and turn on the bell notification so you never miss another story.